Let's begin. But first, subscribe and click like. Where did you find me? I love knowing who's on the other side. So here's the thing about family dinners. They're supposed to be safe, right? A place where you can just exist without constantly defending yourself. But that Thursday night in my dad's dining room, sitting across from my stepmother Linda and her precious daughter Stephanie, I realized I'd been living in a war zone disguised as a home, and I didn't even know I was the enemy. Linda's voice cut through the sound of forks on plates. "Pay your own bills if you're so smart." Her face was flushed, wine glass trembling in her hand. My father, my own father, just sat there, frozen, staring at his plate like the pattern on the china was the most fascinating thing he'd ever seen. Let me back up. Let me tell you how I ended up at that table, 28 years old, sleeping in my childhood bedroom like some kind of failure. 6 months earlier, I was living in Boston. Good job in corporate finance, nice apartment in Back Bay, married to a woman named Amanda who I thought was my forever. Turns out forever lasts about 3 years when your wife decides she's not in love anymore, and her divorce attorney is a shark who went to Yale. I lost the apartment, lost most of my savings, walked away with my car, my clothes, and the kind of emptiness that makes you wonder if you ever really knew what happiness felt like. My dad called me the night the divorce was finalized. "Come home, son, take some time, figure things out." He sounded worried, genuine, like the dad I remembered from before my mom died, before Linda. I should have known better. My mother passed from cancer 4 years ago. 18 months later, my dad married Linda Morrison, a 45-year-old former luxury real estate agent with a smile that never quite reached her eyes, and a daughter who treated life like an Instagram photo shoot. But I was drowning in my own mess back then, barely made it to the wedding, didn't see the red flags, didn't see anything. So I packed up my life into a Honda Civic and drove back to Atlanta, back to the house where my mom used to make Sunday pancakes and my dad used to laugh. The house felt different the moment I walked in. All my mom's photos, gone, replaced with modern art that looked like it cost more than my car. The kitchen she loved had been renovated into something cold and metallic. Even the smell was wrong. No more vanilla candles, just Linda's expensive perfume hanging in the air like a territorial marker. "Michael, welcome home, sweetheart." Linda hugged me at the door. Too tight, too long. Her nails dug into my back. "We're so happy you're here, aren't we, Robert?" My dad nodded from the couch. He looked older, tired. "Good to have you, son." Stephanie barely glanced up from her phone. "Hey," that was it. Just hey before she went back to filming herself for some TikTok video. I told myself it would be temporary. 3 months, maybe 4. Just enough time to rebuild my savings, figure out my next move. I'd gotten a few freelance consulting gigs online, small businesses needing financial advice. It wasn't much, but it was quiet money. Money Linda didn't need to know about. Because here's what I learned in the first week. Linda ran that house like a corporation, and my dad was just middle management. She decided what we ate, when we ate, who was invited over, how money was spent. And Stephanie. Stephanie was the golden child who could do no wrong. The comments started small. "Oh, Michael's home during the day. Must be nice not having a real job." Little jabs at dinner. Casual remarks about how Stephanie was thriving with her influencer career, which, by the way, consisted of 12,000 followers and sponsored posts for teeth whitening kits. I kept my mouth shut, helped around the house, paid rent, $300 a month that Linda said was just to cover utilities. I found out later she'd told my dad I wasn't paying anything. Then I started noticing things. My dad's construction company, the one he'd built over 30 years, was struggling. Bills piling up on his desk, calls from suppliers he'd ignore. When I asked him about it, he just shrugged. "Economy's tough, son. We'll manage." But Linda didn't act like money was tight. New purse every week. Stephanie getting her nails done twice a month at some place that charged $100 a session. The wine Linda drank at dinner? $70 a bottle. I knew because I saw the receipt in the trash. So I did what I do best. I started digging. My dad had given me access to the company accounts years ago, back when he thought I might take over the business someday. The login still worked, and what I found made my blood run cold. In the 2 years since Linda married my dad, $340,000 had hemorrhaged out of those accounts, not to suppliers, not to payroll, to credit cards, to personal accounts, to a lifestyle that was bleeding my father dry while he smiled and nodded and let it happen. I made a spreadsheet, documented everything, dates, amounts, what the money was spent on, Mercedes payment for a car Stephanie drove, furniture for the house, a trip to Cancun I wasn't invited to, spa days, designer clothes, an engagement ring for Stephanie's boyfriend, some personal trainer she'd known for 3 weeks. I didn't confront anyone, not yet. I just watched and waited and kept adding to the file. Then came the dinner. The one I started this story with. The one where everything finally broke open. Stephanie announced she was engaged, showed off this massive ring, squealing like she'd won the lottery. Linda started planning immediately. We need to throw an engagement party, something elegant, maybe 40,000. Robert, honey, you'll handle it, won't you? My dad went pale. Linda, that's a lot of money right now. Oh, don't be cheap. This is Stephanie's moment. Linda's voice had that edge it got when she wasn't getting her way. That's when she turned to me. It's a shame some people can't contribute to important family moments, but I guess when you're living rent-free off your father's generosity, I pay rent, I said quietly. $300? She laughed. That doesn't even cover the groceries you eat. My dad said nothing, just reached for his wineglass. Stephanie was filming the whole thing on her phone. This is great content, she whispered to herself. I felt something snap inside me. Not anger. Something colder, clearer. You know what, Linda, you're right. I stood up, folded my napkin. I should be paying my own bills. I'm 28 years old, plenty smart enough to handle my own finances. She smiled, thought she'd won. Finally, some maturity. And maybe it's time everyone at this table started paying their own bills too. I looked at my dad, really looked at him. Don't you think, Dad? The silence that followed was deafening. Linda's smile froze. Stephanie stopped filming. My dad finally met my eyes. What's that supposed to mean? Linda's voice was ice. I could have said it all right there. Could have dropped the bomb about the spreadsheet, the debt, the lies. But something stopped me. Maybe I wanted to give my dad a chance to be the man I remembered. Maybe I wanted him to defend me just once. Nothing, I said. Forget it. I went to my room and called my Uncle Tom, my dad's older brother, the one who'd built a successful investment firm in New York, the one who'd warned my dad about Linda before the wedding. You remember that job offer? I asked him. Director of Finance, $180,000 a year? Of course, it's still open. Why? I'll take it. I can start in 2 weeks. There was a pause. What happened, Michael? I'm done being invisible in my own father's house. My voice cracked. I hated that it cracked. I'm done watching him destroy himself for someone who doesn't love him. I'm done. Come to New York, Tom said quietly. Save yourself, kid. You can't save someone who won't grab the rope. I hung up and stared at my ceiling. The same ceiling I'd stared at as a teenager, dreaming about my future. Never thought the future would look like this. My phone buzzed. Email from one of my consulting clients. $12,000 payment. Cleared. I transferred $10,000 to a separate account Linda didn't know about. Money for my escape. Then I opened my laptop and added a new folder. Project Linda, Evidence. If she wanted to play games, I'd play. But I'd play to win. A knock on my door. My dad. Michael, can we talk? About what, Dad? Silence. Then footsteps walking away. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay there listening to Linda and Stephanie laughing downstairs, planning the engagement party my father couldn't afford, planning it with his money, his business, his future. And I made a decision. 90 days. I'd give myself 90 days to document everything, to try one more time to wake my father up. And if he still chose her over reality, I'd leave. But I'd leave him the truth. What he did with it would be his choice. The next morning, Linda announced the engagement party would be in 3 weeks. $52,000. Venue already booked. Deposit already paid. With my father's credit card. I smiled and said congratulations. Then I went to a coffee shop and met with Sarah, a freelance accountant I'd been talking to about my consulting work. Told her everything. Showed her the spreadsheet. This is financial abuse, she said flatly. And probably fraud. I know. What are you going to do? I looked at her. Really looked at her. She had kind eyes, honest eyes, the kind of person my mom would have liked. I'm going to give him one chance to choose himself, and then I'm gone. 3 weeks until the engagement party. 3 weeks until everything exploded. I just didn't know how big the explosion would be. The engagement party looked like something out of a magazine. Crystal chandeliers, ice sculptures, a champagne fountain that probably cost more than most people's weddings. Stephanie wore white because of course she did, and her fiancé, this guy named Derek, who I'd met exactly twice, flexed in the corner for someone's Instagram story. Linda held court in the center of the room like a queen. My dad stood beside her, smiling that empty smile I'd come to hate. The smile that said, "I've given up." I'd paid $25,000 toward this party. Wrote the check myself after my dad came to me desperate when the venue threatened to cancel. Linda didn't thank me, just said, "It's about time you contributed to this family." Here's what nobody knew. I'd spent the last 3 weeks building a case. Every receipt, every credit card statement, every forged signature on loan applications. Sarah had helped me organize it into a file so airtight it could have been used in court. And maybe it would be. I'd also accepted the job in New York. My apartment was already rented. I'd packed everything I cared about into boxes and stored them at Uncle Tom's place during a weekend trip Linda thought was a job interview. I was leaving in 4 days, but first I wanted to see if my father had any fight left in him. The speeches started after dinner. Stephanie's fiancé went first, some rambling thing about destiny and soulmates. Then Linda took the microphone. "I just want to thank my amazing husband Robert for making this magical evening possible," she began. The crowd applauded. My dad's smile tightened. "And of course my beautiful daughter Stephanie, who deserves every happiness in the world." She paused, looked directly at me. "Family means everything, and I'm so grateful that Robert has Stephanie now. Some children are blessings, others—" She let it hang there, laughed like it was a joke. The room laughed with her. My dad didn't correct her, didn't say a word. I stood up, walked to the microphone. Linda tried to hand it to someone else, but I took it anyway. "I'd like to make a toast," I said. My voice was steady, calm. "To family. May everyone get exactly what they deserve." I raised my glass. The room raised theirs, not understanding the threat buried in those words. Linda's smile was triumphant. She thought she'd won. I left the party at 9. Went back to the house, printed out the entire financial file, 237 pages, and left it in a manila envelope on my dad's desk with a single note. "This is what loving her has cost you." Then I went to my room and started packing the last of my things. At midnight, my door flew open. Linda stood there, eyes wild, holding the envelope. "You little snake!" Her voice was shaking. "How dare you?" "How dare I what? Tell the truth? These are lies, manipulated numbers. You're trying to turn him against me." I stood up slowly. "Everything in that file is documented. Bank statements, credit card bills, loan applications with forged signatures. You want to call me a liar, Linda? Call the bank, call the credit card companies, call a lawyer. Please." Her face went white, then red. "Robert will never believe you." "Maybe not. That's his choice." I zipped my suitcase. "But I gave him the truth. What he does with it is up to him." "You're pathetic," she spat, "running away, again, just like you ran from your marriage." That's when something in me snapped. Not into anger, into clarity. "You know what the difference is between you and Amanda?" I said quietly. "Amanda broke my heart, but you're trying to destroy my father, and I won't let you. You can't stop me. You're nobody." "You're right. I am nobody. Just the guy who's been paying your bills for 3 months without you knowing." Her eyes narrowed. "What?" "The mysterious client payments that kept the business afloat. That was me. The grocery money that appeared in Dad's account. Me. The property tax that got paid just before the deadline. Me." I smiled. "You thought it was magic. It was just a son trying to save his father from himself." She lunged. Actually lunged at me. I stepped aside and she crashed into the desk. That's when my dad appeared in the doorway. He was holding the envelope, his hands were shaking. "Is this real?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Michael, tell me this isn't real." I looked him in the eyes. "Every word." "He's lying." Linda scrambled to her feet. "Robert, honey, he's just trying to—" "I read it," my dad said. "All of it. The credit cards I didn't know about, the loans, the spending." He looked at her, really looked at her. $340,000, Linda. In 2 years. The room went silent. You could hear the clock ticking in the hall. "I was building us a life," Linda whispered. "I deserved nice things. After everything I've done for you, done for me. My dad's voice cracked. You've destroyed me. My business is failing. I'm drowning in debt, and I let it happen because I was too afraid to be alone. Linda's mask finally crumbled. You were pathetic when I met you, crying over your dead wife. I gave you a reason to live. My dad flinched like he'd been slapped, but he didn't back down. Get out of my house, he said quietly. What? Get out of my house. Each word was sharp, final. You have until tomorrow at noon. After that, I'm calling the police for fraud. Linda's face twisted. You'll regret this, both of you. She stormed out. We heard her go downstairs, heard the fireplace roar to life. I ran down and found her feeding the printed file into the flames, page by page, laughing. No evidence, no case, she shouted. You think you're smart? You think you've won? I pulled out my phone, showed her the screen. Cloud storage. Every document backed up. Copies sent to my uncle, to Sarah, to my own email. The originals were just for dramatic effect, I said calmly. Did you really think I'd leave the only copies lying around? The triumph drained from her face. My dad stood at the bottom of the stairs watching. For the first time in years, he looked like himself. Tired, hurt, but alive. Linda, he said quietly, it's over. Pack your things and go. She left that night. Took Stephanie, took her clothes, took the jewelry. Didn't say goodbye. The house felt different after she was gone. Lighter, like we could breathe again. My dad and I sat in the kitchen until sunrise. He cried, apologized, asked how he'd let it get so bad. You were lonely, I said. She saw that, used it. I failed you. Your mother would be ashamed of me. I wanted to agree. Wanted to tell him how much he'd hurt me. But looking at him, this broken, exhausted man who'd just chosen truth over comfort, I couldn't. Mum would want you to be happy, I said. Actually happy, not performing happiness for someone else. He nodded, squeezed my hand. The job in New York. You should take it. I already did. We spent the next 3 days cleaning out Linda's things. Found more hidden credit cards, more receipts. My dad filed for divorce. Filed a police report for fraud. Sarah helped organize everything. Uncle Tom offered to help restructure Dad's business debt. Between my savings and Tom's investment, we saved the company. Stephanie tried to sue for emotional distress. The case was laughed out of court. Linda married again 6 months later, divorced 8 months after that. I moved to New York on a Tuesday. Dad helped me pack the truck, hugged me at the door. Thank you, he said, for not giving up on me. You're my dad. I'll never give up on you. That was 6 months ago. I'm sitting in my apartment in Manhattan right now recording this. My girlfriend Sarah is in the kitchen making coffee. Dad's coming to visit next week. His business is stabilizing. He's in therapy. He started dating someone, a kind woman who works at the library and doesn't own a single designer purse. And me? I'm good. Actually good. Not performing. Not pretending. Just good. Here's what I learned from all of this. Silence isn't peace. It's cowardice wearing a mask. When someone humiliates you and the people who should defend you stay quiet. That's not neutrality. That's choosing sides. My father chose wrong for a long time. But when it mattered, when I gave him the truth in black and white, he chose right. If you're listening to this and you see yourself in my story, here's what I want you to know. You're not crazy. You're not too sensitive. You're not imagining it. When someone treats you like you're worthless, believe them and then leave. But before you go, give the people you love one chance. One real chance to see the truth. Document everything. Present it clearly. Then step back and let them choose. If they choose wrong, you walk away with a clear conscience. If they choose right, like my dad finally did, you both get a second chance. The best revenge isn't exposing someone. It's not the dramatic confrontation. It's your peace. It's your life, rebuilt on your terms, with people who see your worth. Linda wanted to make me feel small, worthless, invisible. Instead, she taught me exactly how strong I am. So thank you for listening to my story. If it helped even one person recognize their own Linda or their own silent father, then it was worth telling. Drop a comment if this resonated with you. Share it if you know someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you deserve respect, especially from the people who claim to love you. Take care of yourselves out there, and never ever let anyone convince you that your peace is worth less than their comfort. This is Michael. signing off.